Hey everyone, Joe here. Well, Canon has finally officially announced an update to the video 4K in the 5D Mark IV. However, a lot of the rumors that have been going on about this have turned out to not be entirely true. And this is one reason I have not yet reported on this until just now. Because I gotta tell you, for a while, the rumors are pretty interesting, talking about full sensor readout, talking about doing other codecs other than just motion JPEG, adding Canon log, and so many other things. You know, people are really excited. Hey, this is going to actually make the 4K feature more usable for the general public, you know, the average working photographer. You know, talking about wedding photographers, event photographers, where, you know, freaking 8 minutes of video, you know, on a 32 gig card isn't the most efficient use of hardware. Not to mention some computers will have a little hard time with such a huge file. Now, file space aside, yeah, 128 gigabyte SD cards these days, or even CF cards, are not as expensive as they used to be. We'll give Canon that. But there's been a few things that people really wanted on this update that didn't make it. Well, pretty much everything didn't make it, excuse me, but C-Log. Now, C-Log is fantastic. It really is. It helps increase the dynamic range over so much more, even over a flat picture profile. That is it's pretty huge. And that's something that's the first time that one of the Canon's actual DSLRs have actually got C-Log. Now, like I said, this goes into the 5D Mark IV. A lot of people still wonder if this is going to get into the 1DX camera. That's still up in the air, and I honestly don't know. So, C-Log is making it into the 5D Mark IV. However, full sensor readout, nope. You're still going to get the 1.74 crop factor. Isn't completely too bad. Don't get too blown out about that now. The 1.74 crop factor isn't really much difference than if you had a Blackmagic 4K cinema camera, which is actually 1.7. So, if you're thinking, well, Blackmagic makes one better, yeah, well, you know. So, yeah, the readout's going to be about the same. So, that didn't change. So, we still got the crop factor. It's a Debbie Downer, don't get me wrong. However, the biggest thing is they're still using motion JPEG. One of the biggest things about that is it's 8-bit motion JPEG, which really means it's JPEG quality. Now, when recording in motion JPEG, you can still get a much cleaner image than you would if you recorded into, like, even using all-eye, you know, codec on your Canon cameras, whatever, or like recording the H.264 codec. It'll still give you a much cleaner image, without a doubt. We know this. However, like I said, not everybody wants to shoot and record that much data. It's just not practical for a working photographer where his camera needs to also suffice as a video camera. You know, because like a lot of people pointed out, you're shooting, you're taking your photos, and sometimes you need to be able to jump over and do a little video right quick. And running around or carrying that extra camera with you dedicated for video just isn't always possible, especially when you're already paying $3,500 for a unit anyway. So, yeah, you're still stuck with motion JPEG. Okay. So anyway, here is on the screen here, the Canon announcement talking about some things, and I will link this article down in the description below in case anybody wants to read it. They even have a video where he goes in and talks about a lot of the benefits and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, C-Log is very, very nice. It is really going to increase the dynamic range because face it, even the flat picture profiles in the Canon DSLRs, they still lose a lot of data, especially if you're trying to expose for shadows. You still completely lose the highlights. If you try to expose for the highlights, then your shadow areas are completely just too dark. With the C-Log, you can bring back a huge portion of those skies, as well as keep a lot of the shadows and stuff, brought up too, without completely losing data in those areas as well. So now C-Log does this by actually taking full information as possible from the sensor. So it's pretty much going to give you quite a bit. And it's very flat. Most people will not want to shoot in C-Log unless you're trying to achieve a cinematic look. So, a lot of people will like it. A lot of people will not. Like I said, it's just not for everybody. I'm not sure the average YouTubers will want to be shooting in C-Log. But then again, I would. But I'm not average. Then again, there's quite a few of us that are just, not average. We're just unaverage people. But, people do want this. There could be people who are high-end wedding photographers who will want the C-Log without a doubt. All right. So that said, a few things about it. The update will still only let your HDMI out, which is uncompressed, will still only be at 1080p. You still do not get any of that 4K out on the HDMI. That's a hardware limitation they should have addressed before building the camera. And another thing is that the 1080p will also be able to use C-Log, which is a good thing. But it's still using the pixel bidding and stuff. So you're still getting a very dumbed down 1080p video. And that's something I completely hate is pixel bidding. Pixel bidding is just straight out. They're basically taking, say, 3 or 4 pixel groups and reducing them down to make them work as one pixel. And it basically gives you that very awful look, unsharp image. One thing Sony does, a lot of the cameras, especially with the A6300, A6500, is they take the full 6K readout, which is, and they compress that down to a 4K file, which gives you more detail than you would actually get in a 4K file. So much so you could technically almost get away with upscaling that like almost 8K if anybody watched anything in 8K. But, it's very, very sharp. So still using pixel bidding. That's just a pain, crap. It's just crap. So anyway, I'll link this update article here on Canon USA's website down in the description below if anybody wants to read it. But if you want to know my honest opinion, Joe's not impressed. Really, Joe's not. If they could at least, what I would have really liked to have seen, even if they couldn't did the full screen readout, which I understand that can add a lot of heat to the inside of the camera. It's a lot of data to move, actually data to compress. So if they could have just at least added, H.264 to this, but people who won't C-Log, but also don't need, huge files for some cinematic episode of, indie movie they're working on, it would have been nice. But that's the only thing I think it really kept Canon from making the 5D Mark IV into a good camera and to a great camera. So that's my honest opinion. I don't know what everybody else thinks. So if you want to, post your comments down your comments down in the comment area. Yay. How about that? And I'll see everybody next time.